Hi everyone, my name is Nicole and welcome to my channel. Today, we're gonna start off the day bright and early with pulling some yarns, and today we're starting a scrap bust challenge. We're gonna dive into my entire stash of blanket yarn. We're gonna pull out small cakes, scrap pieces, anything that we could find to use up because I really need to make some room for all of the new blanket yarns that you guys have seen in my hauls lately, and I really wanna pull out one color of every color of Bernat blanket yarn if I can. But I want to pull some of my newer skeins of yarn out, but I don't have the room for it. So we're going to go through and see how much I can use of what I already have caked, what I have some smaller pieces of, and try to clean out some places so that we can pull out some of that new yarn to use. So goal is to really use up as much small amounts of yarn as we can, see what we can get made, and market prep at the same time. So let's grab a box, let's go grab some yarn, and let's see what we can make over this next week. We're gonna go through this section first. This has, sorry about the glare, this is a lot of my overflow with my blanket. I gotta move this. This is still packaging left over from packing up Christmas orders, but here we go. There's a lot of pieces in here. Some of my chenille brights, all of those partials. This is Parfait XL in some colors that are discontinued. Kind of want to use those up just to cycle them out because I can no longer get them. And then up at the top, minus the glare, that helped, is some partially used, like this hot pink and whatnot. I want to get through a lot of those. Now, on the flip side of all of this, I have all of these. And this is where I really want to hit hard today. I'm really not necessarily concerned about the solids. I don't have a lot of solid colors. So I'm going to take them if I feel that I need them to complement a color of some type. This section here, we need to pull this, we need to use it, and we need to get it gone. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and grab, I'm going to try to set this up so that you guys can watch me, but I'm going to go through this and I'm going to grab some things. Probably these guys first are going to go. These I make my rubber ducks with. So it has a purpose. So I think I'm going to pull those and try to use that as much as possible. And then I'd like to use some of my chenille brights. Yeah. So like these right here. And that's a partially used skein. This pale one here, I think I'm going to pull for an Easter Peep. But that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to try to set it up so that you can watch me. I don't know if I can or not, though. And let's fill a bag of yarn and just brush it. I thought I had a third one of these. I know I had a third one of these. Doing this makes me really cringe to know that I have this much yarn. All right, so these are some that I have pulled. I'm gonna put this one back because I'm not sure what I want to make with this one. But I'm thinking, see, it's like kind of the same thing with this. Same thing, I don't know, we'll figure it out. That's the goal, is to figure it out, right? Figure it out and use it. Okay, so that's what we're looking like. And I found this one because it had a partial project on it, so we threw that in there. And I did throw this in there. This is actually a Bernat loops or loopy. I popped and caked it. So we're going to try to use those. I'm going to take those. All right, now this, along with this and this, oh, I gotta empty my hands. This. And we need the white in an orange, because the orange I use for the bills. I love this yarn. I'm so upset that they discontinued it. But here's the pile so far. I don't know. I'm starting to have doubts that I'm going to be able to use this all. I'm not going to just use this one just to use it. I'm not sure how I feel about gray ducks, so I'm going to leave that one go for right now. Here's another yellow one. But I pulled a yellow one, so let's try to use that one first. This one's a whole skein. What else do we want to do, guys? I got to put the camera down for a minute. I got to put the camera down for a minute. Hold on. I'm going to grab these 3 more. It doesn't look like I made a dent, except for the top. I pulled a lot of that down, and I filled in some of those cubes there because I had a lot of like these little chenille skeins, and I think to make myself feel a little bit better, we're going to use these up. And I had to revert to a box because the bag wasn't big enough. What did I get myself into? I grabbed 16, 18, 20 millimeter eyes because I have no idea what I'm going to use. My eye jig and a box full of yarn. So I guess let's just see how much we can make with an entire box of yarn. This box is huge. Oh, I stripped over the water. I have done really bad checking in. So it's Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. I filmed the intro for this on Saturday late afternoon-ish. And it's Wednesday. This week has been a train wreck. I did manage to get some plushies made, and I'm going to show you an overview of what I have so far. It doesn't look like I made a dent in the box, but my bag, it's getting full. So I feel like I've made more than what the box actually reflects, but they're bigger size plushies, and I think that might be why. So here's what happened. Saturday, I had just a little bit of time in the evening. So Saturday evening, I managed to pull out some of the pastel colors of the box. I was in the mindset of Easter already, so I wanted to find the perfect Peep pattern. In the process, I found one that didn't serve what I wanted and one that was absolutely perfect. So this first one was my first attempt at the Peep. This was a free Instagram pattern. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who it was. I didn't save it because the way that this turned out, I just didn't like this round around the neck, and I didn't want to take the time to try to modify it because at the same time I had already had this other one pulled, which this was a free YouTube tutorial for this one, and this one I highly recommend because this is like the perfect Peep pattern. It's a nice size. Using a plush style yarn, it makes it a little bit bigger so that, and it's easy, so I think it's going to be a nice price point. And how cute is that chenille? I think this is the chenille tie-dye. But yeah, we did 2 Peeps that I love. I love this pattern. I'll link the pattern down below. It is a great tutorial. I will use that for Peeps moving forward as opposed to this one. So Saturday night we did 3 Peeps, and I started in to my rubber ducks because I had my Fluffy Flex yarn from Loops and Threads pulled out. That's this one here. I use this specifically for my rubber ducks. Saturday night, I also got one purple rubber duck pattern done. This pattern is a free pattern also. Link will be down below. I'm not sure what the designer's name is. If I remember whenever I go back to edit it, I will add it on screen. I love this. This is probably one of my #1 sellers in my markets. I keep the price point on these fairly low, between $9 and $10, depending on where I am. Everybody loves a good rubber duck. So that was Saturday night. One purple rubber ducky, 1 purple Peep, and then 2 other Peeps. Sunday was a good day. It was a rainy, dreary day, very similar to what today is, and it was one of those days where you just wanted to watch movies and just do nothing. And that's kind of what Sunday was. And Sunday was when I got the bulk of this done. So Sunday, I kept going with the ducks and I finished off the blue skein, the green skein. I made one yellow, but I still have enough for one more. When I do these, I like to break the colors up because when I do 2 yellows in a row or 2 greens or whatever, 2 of the same color in a row, it becomes monotonous. So a green, a blue, a yellow, and then I pulled out the big twist plush that I had in neon yellow, and I'm in love. And this actually turned out bigger. So now I feel where I was charging $9 and $10 for this now has to go into a different bucket. I don't know, because it's that much bigger, and I freaking love this duck. Okay, so that was the end of Sunday. So Sunday was blue, green, yellow, yellow. That was the end of the ducks for Sunday. Also Sunday, I did a frog out of the camo. This is where I need the felt eyes. I did one frog. I just have to glue the felt eyes here. I'm not sure how much I really like it. I think I'm gonna buy the All From Jade pattern. This was a free one that I found on Instagram. I don't know if it's the pattern or if it's the fact that I used the green belly instead of a white belly. So I'm gonna put the felt eyes on it, decide if I like the pattern. If I do, great. If not, I think I'm gonna buy the All From Jade pattern. So just one frog until I figure out if I really love it or not. Then I got, during the Black Friday pattern purchasing roundup, I bought the Crochet Carpenter's Seahorse pattern. His patterns are the ones where you can use it either as a finger puppet or modify it to a regular plushie. And we made a seahorse. This was the first time I had ever made one of his plushies, and the first time I've ever made a seahorse. So I didn't plan for yarns to do a lot of seahorses, but after how easy this was and how fast this was to come to make, I'm gonna be doing a couple more of these before my show at the end of the month. So we only had one seahorse, but she is lovely, and she is done in the chenille brights tie-dye with a matching hot pink. Last on Sunday, so we're up to what? 4 ducks, a frog, and a seahorse. The last thing on Sunday was I had some of this very super bulky yarn that I had pulled. It was the Lion brand loops. They are the ones that have the loops that you can finger knit. Well, those yarns, you can also pop those loops and then just cake it and use it like regular blanket yarn. And that was how I had the bright colors, in which I made a giant octo. This is a huge octopus that took me maybe 20 minutes to make. This pattern is by, what is her name? I can see it. I watched her entire Vlogmas. Crafty Mompreneur on YouTube. This is a YouTube tutorial. I understand that octopuses are everywhere. I love how hers is constructed because it is made for mass making. So you can crochet the entire head, body, tentacles, and then the way she does the tentacles to the underneath, you can do everything. And then cut your yarn just to leave a tail for sewing, and then you can go back in, stuff, and sew it up, and you're done later on. And that's what I did. I did one in this really bright, fun colored yarn, and then I also had a blue, white, and navy blue variegated, and made 2 more in those. This one ended up being more of a navy blue and light blue. And then the way this yarn worked up, it was mostly light blue and white, and then he has just a couple tentacles that are navy blue. But I love those little accent of the navy blue tentacles. So I did 2 of those as well. And that was Sunday. So that was 1, 2, 3 octopus, a seahorse, a frog, and 1, 2, 3, 4 ducks. So this is what I got done Sunday. These guys are getting the felt eyes. I have black felt eyes, and then the iron-on that I use is a rainbow holographic. So I might try to see if that looks good. I'm gonna make some rainbow holographic, and I'm gonna make some white ones. So we'll see what looks good with what, but I'm thinking the rainbow would look really good on this, and then the white ones would look really good on these. So we'll see how that goes, but these are getting felt eyes. Then came Monday, and this is where it all started to go downhill. Monday, I did manage to get 2 more ducks done. I did another one in the yellow, and I had a skein of Stitch Studio by Nicole yarn that was from AC Moore, and this duck worked up beautifully. I love how the color variegated on this one, but there again too, like, he is more of the bigger size ducks and not like my standard $9–10 ducks. So I feel like he needs a little bit higher price tag like this guy does. I don't know what it is, but everything pink and purple sells the first day at market, so I can't imagine he's gonna last very long. And I did just the shells of 2 more of the octopus. Monday night, I ended up falling. In my house, walking down the stairs, completely just next to the last step, foot, too much weight, rolled my ankle, fell, sprain fractured. They still don't know I'm in a boot. So I didn't get a whole lot done. And then yesterday, for the bulk of the day, I was just in so much pain with my foot up that I didn't even want to think. I didn't even have the energy to like social media surf. I just wanted nothing to do with anything. Evening, I started to feel a little bit better. And then I ended up yesterday evening stuffing and closing these 2 octopus, which completed all of this colored of yarn except for a small scrap piece. And then I got like this itch to do something new. And I fell in love with this duck so much when I made it that I wanted a mini version. So I thought, big ducks, they sell great. Why not a mini version? So I went on this whole thing of, can I figure out how to crochet a mini duck? So I had a random skein of variegated yarn in the box, which in turn I figured out, wrote down, and adjusted 4 different occasions the pattern for a little itty bitty tiny little duck that mimics this one. I just didn't like how his head was, but he's okay. I'm gonna put a beak on him. I ran out of yarn, but I'm gonna put a beak on him and he'll go into, until I came down to the perfect little teeny tiny size duck that I just had to. I was just in that mode that I had a big one, I have to have a little one. I did use this skein to do the prototypes for a teeny tiny little rubber duck. So that was everything that I have crocheted so far. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 giant octopus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of my best-selling rubber ducks, 4 of the mini rubber ducks, 1 random frog, 1 seahorse, 1 failed peep, and 2 good peeps. That's a lot of plushies so far this week. Here's the funny part, and it's not really funny. I don't feel like I made a dent. Let me show you how much yarn is left. This is how much yarn is still in this box after making all of that. I guess I have 2 skeins in here. There we go. I have 2 skeins in here that I'm not sure what to do with, and that is this one and this one. I want to use these up. These are the only yarns that I have of this color, and I want them to be used and to be gone. I think, that box out of the way. I think they would be really cute for making something baby boyish, except especially this one. When I was looking at my Seahorse pattern, I had a bunny, a frog. Ooh, maybe I'll use this for the frog pattern. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I have a frog pattern that I bought on Black Friday that I think this would work for, because he has a little coat and I can make the coat out of the solid green. So maybe that's what we'll do with that one. And I have a bunny that's similar. So maybe I'll use this one for a bunny and maybe this one a dino, but I don't want to buy any patterns. I don't know. I'm just throwing out brainstorms. These two I'm really stumped on. I have a purpose and a plan for pretty much everything else in my box, with the exception of these two. A ginormous bag of a lot of plushies that I've already made with this box, and a box that still looks full. So I guess I'm gonna fill up my polyfill bag that I keep with me and get to work and try to make some more plushies. This time, I have about 2 hours tonight that I should be able to dedicate to making some of this. So we'll see if I can take a clip, but regardless, we'll check in tomorrow because I haven't been doing good at that. So I'll see you tomorrow, or in a minute for you. Hi, it's Thursday and I remembered to check in to give you a recap from last night. I didn't get as much done as what I thought. However, the patterns that I picked were a little bit more in depth as opposed to the basic ducks that I was doing the last couple days. So I pulled the camo skein out and I wanted to use it up. That was the Premier tie-dye yarn. And I made a pattern by Madeline Mako in this really cute frog. Her pattern has a boy version with a coat and like a bag, and a girl version with a tutu or a skirt and a crown. I just went with the basic frog, but however, this guy, we're just gonna leave it go as a super cute frog. So he got done last night and that used up that whole skein, and actually had to pull a second skein to finish his head. So it finished off that skein and used a little bit of another. The other color that I pulled was the skein that was baby blue, lime green, and white. And I pulled another Madeline Mako pattern for the bunny. Now, it was a smaller skein, it was a smaller skein. It was full, but it didn't have enough in it to do the whole bunny. I got one ear shy of the bunny being done. Super frustrating, but it is what it is. I'm not going to let it get to me. So because the tail is white, I have plenty white that I'm going to pull and make 2 ears out of. And the original pattern calls for the ears to be pinched and then sewn on the top like this with a bow, which I feel makes it look more for a baby girl, and I chose baby boy colors, even though it's not baby safe to begin with, but it's just the whole thing. Just work with me on this for a second. I think because I have to already go ahead and redo the ear, I think what I'm going to do is make them long. Like the pattern is a repeat, I think, of 3 or 4 rounds right here. I'm going to extend that at least one more time. We'll see what it looks like after that. And I'm going to turn them into floppy ears so that the white, and then the ears will eventually hang down low, and then they'll be white, and then I don't have to put the bow on the top, and then it doesn't make it look feminine. So that's where I'm at today. That's today's goal. Finish bunny ears and get parts sewn on. And then out of everything then that I have left, like I said, I'm not going to go through my solid colors. I have this and these. This is going to become 4 rubber ducks. So my goal is 4 more rubber ducks. This is just nose for the rubber ducks. So 4 rubber ducks. This dinosaur that I started with this. Something, I don't know, with that. And then I have this large cake that I want to make one seahorse out of. That's the plan with what I have left of the yarn. Then that only leaves me with this purple and these 3 solids, which will go back on my shelf. After that, everything's been used, which makes me very happy. Today's plan, with it being Thursday, finish the bunny. I know the ducks will be easy to crank out, so maybe I'll take those upstairs with me tonight whenever I'm watching TV. They take only about a half hour. This one is going to be the most complicated. It's a video tutorial, so it's not written down, so I have to follow it, so that'll slow me down a little bit. So maybe I'll make this the priority number 1, and then see where that takes me into the ducks, and maybe I'll do half the ducks tonight, and then tomorrow maybe we'll finalize this and the rest of the ducks, because I want this video to be finished tomorrow so that I can edit it to have it up next week. So that's where we're at. All right, let's get cracking. I don't know, maybe I can actually video some things today of me making stuff since I'm in my space. We'll see what happens, because that didn't happen yesterday.
26 vibes going. So, as you can see, these things are actually a desktop calendar, but
As well. No, back to kayak for a great deal on your hotel.
the needle link is also exactly the same.
This yarn is so rough and scratchy, just like this was, and it's really starting to hurt my hand. I think our Franken bunny actually turned out pretty cute. I was a little worried how the white ears were going to look on there and that it was going to be really out of place, but I think because the tail is white, it helps tie everything together. I will say, if I didn't mention it before when I was showing you the frog, Madeline Mako, that was the designer of both this and the frog pattern, her body styles, I love it because once you learn how to do an arm and a foot and a body and a head, all of her patterns flow in the same direction. So it's the same thing. Once you master one, it's the same for every pattern. So with each time I make this, along with the several others that I purchased, they're going to get faster and faster. And really, they're not complicated to begin with. I will say that there is one thing that I might try to do, and these are sewn into the round. When they sit with their legs out to the side, which I don't mind, but I think on the next one, I think I'm going to decrease the gap of the round here on how many single crochets there are and try to pull the legs maybe 2 stitches on both legs closer to the inside so that it brings the sitting legs in closer. Other than that, I love this pattern. It didn't take very long to do with it. I struggled more because this yarn, and you can tell just by the way this ear is sitting, because I haven't formed it yet, this yarn is very dense for it being Bernat Blanket, and this yarn is what gives Bernat Blanket a bad name and why people don't like it, because it hurts your hand. I'm going to go ahead and jump into my next pattern that I'm going to do, and I believe I'm going to finish the dinosaur. So I'm going to go ahead and get going with that, and I'll catch up with you when I catch up with you. I don't know when it'll be. Whew. My hair is still everywhere. Staticky. Okay, good morning. It is Friday, day, I don't know, 4, 5, something or another, 6, not sure. Last night, I successfully completed the ducks. I finished up 2 skeins last night, one in the yellow fluffy flex, and I also finished the white one. So I ended up with 2 of the white rubber ducks and 1 of the yellow. So those are going into the bin, and I'm done with ducks. I am so over ducks. Well, this size, because that prefaces something else. I did get a good chunk of my dinosaur done. I don't like the tail. The pattern is a video tutorial. It is excellent. They explain it very good. It is, I would say, somewhat, if you want to try something a little bit more complex and you're a beginner, I think this is a not so bad one to start with. You do have to crochet the legs and then you add them in on like the third or fourth round, I think, of the body. So that is probably the most difficult, doggo. That is probably the most difficult part, is just getting those legs attached. But once that's done, the way they explain it in the video makes it very beginner friendly. I'm just not a huge fan of how the tail looks. I think that there is other patterns out there that I like how they look better. But this has worked up so fast and so easy that I would consider doing it again. But I did get the bulk of him done. It's a pretty good size. So I think that I can actually put a half decent price tag on this, maybe 20-ish, 20-ish. I don't know. We'll see what it looks like once the head's on, because I just finished the last round of the neck and then I stopped. My hands really started to hurt yesterday. And I think it was because I was wrestling with that rough textured Bernat blanket on the bunny. It didn't have a nice drag on the hook and it made me struggle. So my wrists are kind of paying for it. And I think it's because that. So I stopped. So we're going to finish the head on the dinosaur today. And then the only things left in that box that I have is this small Bernat skein and then this. There's a lot left of this. This is not quite a whole skein. But I think the only thing that I have made with this so far is 2 turtle shells. If I'm remembering correctly, 2 turtle shells. So that means there's still quite a bit left. I think I'm going to make 1 seahorse out of this. See how much yarn is left, and I might just end it at that and then just put whatever's left of this back on the shelf, because the turtle shells that I did with this color did go over very good, and I might hold off and use that as a turtle shell for another time. I'm not sure, but we at least have 2 projects and the head of another on the books today. Then I want to do something different. I had shown you the little teeny tiny rubber ducks that I made at the beginning of the video. And then I saw on Instagram the other day, what is their name? Was PawgysPlace? Yeah. So PawgysPlace has been posting on Instagram. They have a new pattern that's releasing and I cannot wait till it comes out because I'm going to buy it. I love their patterns to begin with, and they just started posting the mini ducks, which kind of got my juices flowing with this being one of my best sellers. And they have all of these different headwear for ducks. There's like a punk rocker, a football helmet, a witch's hat with hair, a cowboy hat. It's so cute. But the thing that got me with their posting is these, and I had to go straight to Amazon and buy them. This literally is a bag of 50 of squeakers that are like from dog toys. I want to make little rubber ducks and add these to it now. So I want to put that on my radar for this weekend. So I'm trying to wrap this up so that I can make a bunch of squeaky rubber ducks. I'm obsessed. What can I say? And they really need to release their pattern very soon because I need to buy it. So that's going to be it for this morning's wrap up. I will catch you later on or tomorrow morning with the final, what I finished with these last 2, and then we'll do a big recap. Yeah, we'll do all of that tomorrow because I want to get to my squeaky rubber ducks tomorrow. So all right, I'll catch back up with you soon. Future editing me coming in because I have never done this before, but I lost or accidentally deleted the very last clip of this series of this video. And I didn't want to just waste all of the footage and time and energy and efforts that I did in putting it together. So we're gonna do the best that we can here. And I'm gonna do a finish, well, I should say, I'm going to show you what I finished with those last 3 skeins of yarns that you just saw in the last clip. And then we're gonna do one final recap. I do have all of the scraps that are left sitting in front of me, so I'll show you the yarn that was left from that box. And then I'm gonna go through and do a full recap and post a picture of all of the projects that I made, and we'll get a grand total here at the very end. I'm super disappointed about that part because I had an entire bag, that big Harbor Freight bag. I had it, literally showed it. That bag was full to the max. And I was so excited to have made so many plushies that it filled that entire bag. And then I lost the footage. But that's okay, we're gonna move on because we're gonna do this video again, because it really didn't make a dent in my stash. So, and there's things that I want to make and things that I need to make, and so we're going to do it again. So, with that being said, in the last clip, I was showing you the dinosaur that I had partially finished. We did finish that said dinosaur. It used up all of the yarn that was in that one single cake skein. I did not have to go into the second one. And it had just a little tiny bit left over of it. So that was really exciting that I didn't have to dip into the second one because I was very worried that I was going to have to do that. And then I also showed the cake of this yarn, and then also the brown, blue, and white variegated yarn. This was the only variegated yarn out of that entire box that I didn't use the full cake or piece that I pulled out of. And I kind of went into this video knowing that this would have probably been that one yarn that I didn't do that with. I really enjoy using this colorway for turtle shells. We ended up making a seahorse with it. And I did the seahorse with the navy blue frill, and that seahorse got so much attention and sold within probably the first 2 hours of my market. So I do want to make another one in this colorway. Then the other skein that we had of the brown, blue, and white, I ended up making 2 things with it. First, we made an elephant, and then we made an axolotl, and then I grabbed some tan yarn to do his frills, I think. I've had my market already since I made all of those plushies, so I'm trying to remember what was left. So you're probably going to get the pictures of my market setup video footage. This video is just taking way too long to get edited and done, but we're not going to waste the footage. So that was the last several projects that were made in the end of that last clip. So now let's do a full recap. We ended up making a total of 29 plushies out of that whole box of yarn. Of those variegated yarns that were left, we had this one cake, and then the only other pieces that were left was because that's how the whole video is gone, was this. That was it. All of the variegated yarn used and gone. All of the other yarn that we had, it was down to scrap pieces that were less than this, and I probably won't even keep this. But it was scrap pieces that were smaller than this that I just threw away. So we made 29 plushies out of that whole box of yarn, the variegated in that box. So I want to do this again, but I think what we might do is, when I was showing the clip earlier, I was showing like these pieces I wanted to use for seahorses and these I wanted to use for turtles. I have to make both of those, so maybe we'll just do a how many turtles or how many seahorses I can crochet in an X amount of day or time or whatever. I need to start making some more of those types of things for my markets. Okay, final recap. Here's what we have. I'm going to go through one by one with all of the projects that I finished, pop a picture up here on the screen for you. That way you can get an idea of everything that we did in this entire box of yarn. First, we're just going to start with the regular size ducks. I feel like that was what a lot of the beginning of this video was. We ended up with 1 blue duck, 1 purple duck, 2 yellow ducks, 2 white ducks. Then we did the larger size ducks that came out larger, unintentionally, not thinking that they would. We made 1 of the pink and purple variegated duck and 2 of the neon yellow solid ducks. After those were done, I went on that mini duck making spree and we made 4 of those little miniature ducks. Finally, moving away from the ducks, we made 1 bunny, 1 tie-dyed pink and purple seahorse using the tie-dye chenille yarns from Premier. Then we made some frogs. We made 1 smaller frog. Then we also made another bigger frog. Following that, we did 1 axolotl. And then these really aren't in order. I'm just going down a list that I made because I wrote everything down after I went back and rewatched the video. We also then made our octos. We had 2 in navy blue, light blue, and white. And then we had 3 in that really bright colorway from the loopy yarn. We made a total of 3 peeps, 1 that I called a fail in the purple yarn. It really isn't a fail. I just was a bigger fan of the other pattern, which was 2 of the other pattern. And we made that one out of the Premier. I believe it is a tie-dye yarn too. I'm not sure if it's tie-dye or if it's a multicolor yarn, but that is definitely a Premier chenille yarn. We had 1 bigger dinosaur, 1 more seahorse made out of the variegated yarn, and then lastly, the elephant that was made out of the brown, blue, and white, for a grand total of 29 plushies. I hope I got them all. I hope I mathed it all. I am so sorry that the end of this video got so jumbled up like this. We'll do it again. No worries. So, with that being said, all of these items had already gone into my market totes. Some of them have already found their new forever homes. Others will be going to market with me in a couple weeks when we have our next one. So we have lots to do in the coming weeks, so the videos will be coming. I'm just sorry this one was late, and it was late because I messed up. So with all of that being said, and I'm done with the rambling now, I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a little bit longer than what my ones have been lately. So let me know what you think. Do you like them a little bit longer? Do you like them a little bit shorter? I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. And until next time, I'll see you soon.